I think my biggest one this week has been getting my AARP community advocate enrollment done, so that's official. And then
Nice.
next week we're meeting, yep, meeting with the roofing people, and they are introducing me to an insurance agent because I don't have one of those particularly on my bod that like is my go-to. And they are going to
Insurance?
let us do, yeah, he does, I think he does life and health as well, but I mean his specialty is property casualty. So
Okay.
that's super duper important. And then I'm on the market for an accountant. So any tips and tricks to add to Paul's little 2 cents yesterday, I'm all ears.
I think when meeting with board of directors, I think it's just really, again, becoming that investigative journalist and just trying to find out as much as you can about them, their business, them as a person, and then really trying to find out like how you can provide value for them.
Yeah.
Um, and then just having a clear outline of how they can provide value to you. And my biggest thing is I don't want referrals. I want introductions.
Yep.
I just told I have another referral from my I have a CCRC that I have a really good relationship with. And she's like, "Oh, I have another referral for you." I was like, "All right, great. Just put us on a group text message or put us on a phone call and let me know when you want to set that up." Um, because it's just so much more powerful when the person who's has that referral actually introduces you to the person. Um, so, what about you, Donna or Kristen? You guys have any wins for the week?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, Kristen.
Nothing too notable this week.
All right. Well, one thing I've always learned is it's like being grateful as well, that you got to celebrate your wins, even though it doesn't matter how small they are. So even if it was like I made my 3 phone calls today, or I had a blah, 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 or I learned this. If you start learning to celebrate your wins, then our mind, like psychology, our mind wants to repeat those wins. Um, it's one of the reasons why whenever I have a close of escrow, I always do something to celebrate that win. Whether it's a dinner, a golf round, go buy me something. I always do something to say, hey, I'm doing this because I closed escrow. So it gives me that endorphin release as well as my mind goes, okay, I want to do that again. So just it doesn't have to, especially with when you're sharing here, it doesn't have to be earth shattering or like life changing or business changing. Even if it's just a small little win. Um, and then I think I don't know what you guys want to talk about or if anyone wants to ask any questions or any topics they want to cover. So I guess I'll open that up first. Is there anything that someone wants to talk about? We can help with their business. All right. For me, I mean, I think, with everything going on in the world, I think it's like, how do we, in our own lives, when adversity happens or when we're feeling kind of done, like dull in our spirit, like, what do we do? Um, and I know, I mean, it's cliche as it is, like taking a run, taking a walk, like getting some fresh air, getting some vitamin D is definitely huge. But then it's going to revert back to just start with one thing on your list and just focus on that one thing, celebrate the win, then move on to the next thing. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts or any like, this is what I do when I'm in a funk. Um, because I know no matter where your business is at, I think we all can contest to being in some kind of funk or that it's the highs and the lows. Oh, I got 30 listings and then all of a sudden, oh, but this one's not selling, this one canceled, this one's mad at me. And it's like, how do you keep your emotions in check? So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that or what thoughts we have on it.
I'm kind of going through that right now. I mean, like I feel like I am building for the future and like I feel like I've got a lot of good things like coming up and as far as growth and opportunity, but like I've been really, really stagnant, not just this month, but this whole year. So you guys will probably laugh, but it's hard to be in some of these groups and see a lot of other people doing so well because it's like I feel like I'm trying just as hard, but I'm not seeing the same success. So having to try to retrain my brain the last couple of months to like honestly tell myself to quit being a selfish childish brat because everybody has ups and downs. That's kind of, I mean, honestly, like that to be completely honest, that's probably the biggest struggle I've had is not getting caught up in the what's it called, Kristen in our other group, FOMO or something. Where like, you're just watching everybody else and like you feel bad for yourself because you're not doing as well as everybody else, but you're truly not taking the time to see what you are doing that's good.
Yeah, and I think that's life in general. I think we, especially with social media, and the youth have it way harder because they believe every 20-year-old's making millions and millions of dollars, and it's the same thing. Like when all of a sudden I'm surfing my social media and that person's closing a deal, and I mean, there's one girl in my she's now in my office. Uh, every single time I turn around, she's closing a deal, and I'm like, why are her listings selling and mine are? And I started getting like self-confidence issues of like, this has never happened. I've never had listings just sit on the market. And this is the most listings I've ever had. And now it's like, am I doing my clients a disservice? And I even called her and said, what are you doing? Like, what's the magic trick? Like, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And when it came down to it, she really didn't have anything that she was doing. She's like, I don't really know. I'm like, it's just the listings I have or the areas I don't know. She had no answers. And I think in general, like I do believe in the law of attraction. I do believe of law of intention, and I think we're shooting on a certain frequency, the world just gives us everything, and then as soon as that frequency gets changed or altered, all of a sudden, but I think it's perception. I think it's when we look outward, we perceive that everyone else is getting and we're not, and then we literally just told the world we don't want it because the world doesn't understand or the energy or whatnot doesn't understand. I don't want. All it understands is what you're thinking about, and it's going to give you what you're thinking about. So if you're giving, um, do you do goals like a yearly goal?
Yes, but I need to do better at that. Like I know that there are some certain foundational, like operational things that I need to definitely work on and stick to better. So, we're at the end of the year. We're doing all those resolutions.
So we do a class on. I'm huge on writing down goals. I think sometimes
The
it also
accountability.
keeps me going. It keeps me on track, and it also gives me a reference of where I came from and where I'm at. Um, my whole goal thing I got from or not Augmentino, Zig Ziglar, um, and he basically says like, you start your goal planning in like October, November, and it's not to give up on your goal of this year, but it's starting to put the goal of this year as well as next year and trying to go, okay, what did I do this year? What am I trying to do next year? Um, and you always start with the words I am. So I am and enjoy launching Contribute to 100 Holdings. It's growing to $100 million company that consists of companies that have a purpose and are solutions driven. And you're very, very specific of what you want for your goal. Um, so you go through, and obviously my goals are pretty extensive. I would say usually start with one goal, but again, as I'm growing my empire, and that's I'm going all over the place right now, but because my mind's going a million miles an hour. But the my goal was to build this huge empire. Because of my last recent health scare, I don't know if that's my goal anymore. So for the next couple months, I'm going to be really thinking about, is building the empire the goal, or is something else going to turn in and manifest into the goal? Then you have your deadline of when you want to accomplish it. Then you have your skill sets. So what do you need to do perfect on? What skills do you have? What do you need to work on? Then the people, the who's, who do you need to have in your life, who's necessary to accomplish these goals? So if you're going to help 20 families this year, then obviously you got to have 20 families listed in here. Um, and you can add to it as you go through. And then you have a plan of action. And this plan of action is your blueprint to just keep going back to. So when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling like lost, or I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do, or this isn't working, I go back to my blueprint. I'm like, okay, this is what I got to do. I got to make my phone calls. I got to do this. I got to, and it really helps out. And then the last thing you put on here is the why. And I try to read these every day. And that way it keeps positive thoughts in my mind. It keeps me where my plan of action is, what I need to improve on, or what skill sets do I have that I'm going to be able to accomplish these. And then I end up with why. Why do I want to do this? Um, so I would really suggest the power of written goals. And even if you say, you know what, I'm going to have a goal for the rest of this year by the end, by December 31st, what's my goal that I'm going to accomplish? And it could, in my belief, I believe you start with lead measures. So your goal from now till December 31st is, my goal is to build 100 relationships or make 10 phone calls a day. It's not based on what happens because you do that goal. It's what do you want to accomplish? So rather than focusing on a production, a sales volume of something, it's, I want to build up 10 BODs. And therefore, okay, what do I need to do to get 10 BODs? I need to, decide what BODs I want. Maybe not just do 10, but maybe list 20. So then your goal can be reachable. And then what do you need to do? You need to call them. You need to set appointments with them. And then once you have the appointment and you did the strategy session or the BOD meeting, then you need to do a follow-up every single month till December 31st. Um, I think that's a way that we can alter our mind, because a lot of times, again, we look at our goals of it having to be I want to make $100,000 this year. I'm going to sell 20 homes this year. And those are good goals to have. But if that's all we're focusing on, then if we don't do the 20, then we get down on ourselves. Or even on the other side of it, if we get to 20, then we all of a sudden start going, oh, I got 20, I'm good. Rather than saying, like, for me, a lot of my goals is like, I have 336 relationships. And it's, how do I build those relationships? How do I make them into partnerships? And as long as I focus on that, I know the lag measure of doing 60 plus deals will come into fruition. And if it doesn't, then I can really look at it and go, was it the relationships? Did I not do that? Or is it something totally outside of my realm, like the market totally shifting and, people doing weird things and having less sales? Not that I want to give myself an excuse, but I at least want to understand, where did my goal, what part of my goal did not get accomplished and why? I don't know if that helps or resonates, or um, and we could do a goal setting, class, a structure of it. I know me, Gretchen, Felicia, Paul, we probably have all different ways of doing it. Maybe that's like one week we just do a bunch of our, each day one of us does a goal setting class, and people can pick and choose what they like and what they don't like. And I mean, mine's always very, very elaborate, because that's how my mind works. So sometimes people just need a lot, more simple, straightforward, like, just give me this. Um, what are your thoughts on that? Oh,
I think it's good. I think
um,
my biggest part, my like the hardest thing that I've struggled with is like that step by step part. It's like laying out exactly what I want to do and planning out like the all the events, who I want to talk to, like going into the detail because I am so detail oriented that it almost like spirals out of control and then it becomes a stress factor because it becomes a stress factor. It's almost like more stressful to have to sit down and do that plan because then I spiral out of control. So I don't know, maybe it might be something that like I can do, but not do completely by myself so that I don't like, you know what I mean? Start going into that like OCD mindset where it's just over analyzing everything and then it's like defeating the purpose.
Then it's too overwhelming to
Yes.
take a step. Like it's easier to not do anything because you're so overwhelmed. And
Yeah.
that's where I've been. Is, and to back things up, I had taken a management position with a brokerage right after my cancer surgery this year, which was
Mm.
not a smart. It was not a smart decision on my part, but and it was a decision that I should not have been handed that soon after surgery. Um, it completely, in about 10 days, it completely blew up. I walked away from the brokerage. I've had awful things said about me. I've had awful things said about my counterpart. And so coming back to full-time production after, starting to feel bad about a year ago, not being diagnosed till December, surgery in January, take this position in February, and then end of July, it just all blew up. I just have felt overwhelmed, completely and utterly overwhelmed. Um, so
Well,
yeah, so that's, but before all this, I was very, I knew what I was going to do every month. I was disciplined, but things just kind of, it doesn't take long for things just to spiral out. Um, and then it's easier to sit back and be like, well, I'm just not going to do anything because I don't know which direction I need to go.
Hmm. You don't know where to
well,
dig in.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing for one. And I could only imagine. I mean, that is overwhelming, and I feel sad that you were treated like that, especially with coming over something like that. And not that I experienced what you experienced, but in my mind, I believe I went through like that kind of thing, and it does, it alters your whole way of thinking. And I'll be honest, once I found out that I didn't have cancer, my whole life kind of changed even more, and I stopped prospecting. um, I find the motivation hard to go by. um, and that's where again that's why I kind of opened up here today and was trying to be a little bit more vulnerable than normal, of like, this is what I'm experiencing, like, and again, I have 30 listings right now and I'm on track to do more listings than I did last year. Like, there's no reason for me to be melancholy, but I am melancholy. I'm like,
Hmm.
like, I get up, I have my appointments for the day. I keep getting introductions and listing appointments, but I have no want to like even reach out to one person and be like, hey, how's it going? And I think that's where we go back into again our lead measures and go, you know what, today, I have a listing appointment, but I'm just going to make 3 phone calls today. And as long as I make my 3 phone calls today, then I'm okay. Then I had a win, and then I know it'll start going into it. I mean, we could do a little exercise like just for right now for everyone here is, so we're in September. We have till December. Let's just work on one lead measure of, and I guess we'll Heather, we can do BODs, or someone else we can translate it to something else. But let's figure we're going to make 10. Our goal should be we're going to have 10 partnerships, 10 BODs, 10 partnerships, 10 relationships that we are going to build by December 31st. So I am and enjoying building 10 relationships. I am and enjoy building 10 relationships, um, or partnerships or BODs. And then we have to define that one more level of going, okay, now who, we have to tell December 31st. Now it's, who is it that we want to build a relationship with?
Mhm.
Well, if there are BODs, then we would start writing, okay, insurance agent, financial planner, trust attorney, placement agent, and I'd write out at least probably 15 to 20 different people that you want to build a relationship up with.
You mean
Um,
like titles or actually start researching their names? I feel like when I research their names, it's holds me more accountable from the get-go.
so me personally, I would first write down the title.
Yeah.
And then next to the title, if you already have somebody in mind, I would I would put that name, and I usually put three names.
Okay.
So I would do this first, and then I would start going, okay, I know I have my roofer. So that's a relationship. Now it's coming into a partnership. I mean, they're starting to introduce you to people. So to give yourself a little win or a 1/10 of you're going to accomplish a goal, that roofer would be one of my BODs. And I'd
Hmm.
write their name down. And that one roofer would have a little plan of action just for that roofer. I'm going to call them once a week, or I'm going to call them once a month. I'm going to have a coffee with them. And I would have a blueprint of what I'm going to do to build up that one relationship. And then I would go to the next person. Okay, insurance agent. Okay, I have this one person, but I'm not just going to put the one person down because what if you don't agree with them? What if you don't like them? What if they offend you? So put down maybe two other people or make it I'm going to find this person by going on Google, going on Alignable, going on Facebook and saying, hey, does anybody have a great home insurance that they just love? I would love to get a hold of that person. Please introduce us, tag us together, send us an instant message, put us on a group text message. Again, you want to train people how to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish. And what I truly believe, despite what's going on in the world, I truly believe people want to help other people. I truly
Hmm.
believe that if we just ask people and show them how we need to be helped, they will help us.
Hmm.
And especially your core, they're going to go out of their way. And it's not that, oh, you're supposed to in real estate. How don't you know that they want to help you? So, and one thing I do know is people love, I call it like, oh, I know that. I know a guy. People love knowing a guy, feeling like, oh, I know this guy. They're so cool or they're so bad, they're awesome. And they also love helping people. So if you give people an opportunity to do so, generally they'll do so. Moms groups are great. I mean, there's times where I'll have my wife go into the moms groups and say, hey, tell them that you're looking for this, tell them you're looking for that. And then I'll get a bunch of names and I'll just start reaching out to them. I mean, it's one thing that I kind of admire a little bit. I'll even say I'm a little envious and jealous of it, is the whole empower a woman empowerment movement that's going on. You see these women councils, these women groups, and they're joining together to build up each other. And I'll be honest, there's not men's groups like that. And I almost feel like I want to start one, but I feel like by doing so, oh, he's a misogynist. And it's like, I already have all this self doubt of just saying, hey, I want to start a men's group of like, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm trying to start one right now. I just need 5 minutes just to bitch. Give me 5 minutes. I don't want advice. It's always like my wife, like she just wants to bitch and just get it off her chest, but I want to give advice and I want to solve her problem. I feel now like her. I just want to go out and just get it off my heart and my chest. Don't give me advice. Don't judge me. And so I think that would be awesome. Go ahead. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, I was gonna say the golf dad's breakfast chat.
He's something, like
Mhm.
so I mean we started an open house for Jesus. Now we opened it up for everybody, but now I'm going, you know what, I need and maybe that's the way I do it is a
Yeah.
golfing God and
Golf
And
God and
guys,
Parenthood.
and vomiting. But
Yeah.
yeah, and but I think that's again going back to it, then we have our plan of action. And I don't like when I go back, I'm going to share this again, so that you can see that I do want a blueprint of what I want. Like, so here's my plan of action. So, so my plan of action, being a top 1% producer and doing over 50 plus transactions a year. And even though I know I can do more than 50 or I plan to do more than 50, I leave 50 because you know what? 50 is a freaking good number. And if I did
Yeah.
50, I like, if I put 60 and I didn't do 60, I did 53, I should still feel like that's a win. So I always just put 50. Um, so what do I
Cory,
need to
you have
do? I
nine
need to build
pages
up.
on this plan. This is a win.
Yeah, I need my SOI. So my first things, I need to build my top 300 cheerleaders, my core. Those are my people that are going to be supportive. How do I do it? I need to focus on building relationships. I need to focus on providing value. And I need to train them on how to refer me one person every 5 years. Okay, so what's that going to do? Well, that's going to give me at least 25 to 42 opportunities, resulting
Yeah.
into 25 transactions. Okay, so what do I need to do here? And I had 447. I got it down to 336. I'm trying to get it down to 300, but right now it's 336. So it gives me, I'm not getting too much into the crazy details of like, this is what I'm going to say, and this is, but I am giving myself an outline so that every day when I come through here, I'm gonna, okay, my loyalty program. Well, I know I have my monthly value calls. I started a raffle ticket idea. You know, I tried to do slide down. That didn't work. People didn't like the fact that they were just having voicemails left on their voicemail that they could tell was generic. So I think it, it's again, it's you want a blueprint, but don't get into the weeds of the blueprint. And why I like to start my goals now is I start the overview. I want 10 relationships. You know, so these are the 10 to 20, really 15 to 20 different people I want to be able to build 10 relationships from. And then what skills do I need? Well, I know I need to be motivated. I need to be determined. I know I need this. Okay, what's a plan of action? Well, I know I need to reach out to them. How am I going to reach out to them? I know I need to stay in the flow with them. How am I going to stay in the flow? I know I'm going to bring value. How am I going to bring value? Then going into the why. And the why is always the most important. And I always go 7 levels of why. Why do I want to be a top producer? Because I want to provide a good life for my family. Why? Because I want to be able to take them on trips and get them to experience things that, you know, that I want them to experience. Why? Because I want them to be able to have life and us to be able to bond and them to be able to be proud of who their dad is. Why? Because that is the most important thing to me in my life. Is that if
Mhm.
I die tomorrow and my kids say, dude, that guy was an awesome dad, he taught us so much, and I instilled a good heart and a good soul. That is my why. So now I can go through and go, that's my why. So when I do feel melancholy, when I do feel kind of stressed out or like, hey, I'm failing, I can go back to, well, here's my why. And, you know, I mean, I just had it, you know, happen, I'll be, you know, of like, oh, but Snow's my kids. That's my real why. So if I'm building this empire, but my kids don't realize why I'm doing it, then that's where I'm falling short on. And so then I need to go back into it. So now I rededicated to 1 hour every single day. It's for my kids. I'll shut down the phone, I'll turn off the phone, and just whatever they want me to do with them, I'll do with them. I think that will help you, you know, not being so, you know, spread out in our thoughts. And when you're planning your plan of action, don't get into the minutia. Think big overviews. The minutia is for what I'm going to do today. What 10 things do I need to do today to accomplish this goal? What, you know, what's my monthly goal? So you know, if I have 10 relationships to get by December, then my relationship or my goal this month is 3. I just need to focus on building 3 relationships. Okay, how am I going to do this? Okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, who's it going to be? Now you can pick and choose who it's going to be. Um, does that
Are you
help?
guys? Yeah, and I was actually going to ask, and the girls will probably both give me thumbs up on this one. Do you guys have any plans on doing any type of like mini workshop for this to help us get this? Like, what I don't want to ask is, hey, Cory, can you build us a template between you and the coaches to help us, do this? When really, I think what it would be more valuable is if we actually had like a session with you guys where we had a layout and then we're able to have the layout each individually in front of us and then kind of build off of the interaction that we have with you guys with the feedback.
Absolutely.
I just,
It'll,
it's been like,
this
this
is
is
what
my
we'll do.
fourth year as a realtor. And
Yeah,
I did a business plan last year and Cory, I didn't stick to it. I wrote it down. I did all the things, but it wasn't like in depth and like really true to my heart because I really didn't know what I was doing. I had no coaching on it.
so this is what we'll do. We will I'm going to try to get it for September. If not, I'll definitely put it for October.
Okay.
I'll do a goal setting master class, like on like Tuesday,
Mhm.
or maybe a Thursday, or one of those two. And it'll basically kind of give you the full blueprint, the mindset of it, what we need to do. And then the Friday, we will do a mastermind on, okay, guys, everyone, let's define our goal, and everyone can share their goal. We'll kind of revise the wording to make sure it's I am and enjoy. It's in
Yeah.
present tense, like I've already achieved it. And then we'll kind of go through there. And if enough people sign up and go into it, then I'll bring in more coaches so that we can maybe go into breakout rooms or something like that. So yeah, we can definitely
Yeah.
do that.
Awesome. Okay. I
So
just,
yeah,
again, just listening to, I mean, there's three of us in here, and all three of us pretty much agreed with everything that my big mouth said, which was I struggle with, kind of doing the fine tuning. Looking at yours compared to what mine was, like Cory, mine was maybe 2 pages. You just had like what, 9? You know what I mean? Like you
yeah,
covered
mine's
but you covered
elaborate.
everything. I know,
Mine's
but
elaborate, but I think
that
that's why it
you're
takes
able to
me
hold yourself accountable because of
right.
that.
And I think also I didn't do my goal in one day. Like, and I
Mhm.
have a career goal, I have an income goal, I have a savings goal, I have a family goal, I have a health goal, I have a living goal, I have a physical goal, I have a social goal. Like, I have 13 different goals that look like that. And I read them, and I try to read, I shouldn't say, I try to read them every single day. And in the beginning, I try to read them in morning and night. And I bring a notebook around and I just basically read them at morning and then at night, sometimes at lunch if I'm feeling, again, a little off. Um, so we'll get the basis down and then we'll do a follow up in like 2 weeks, and then we'll do a follow up in a month. And so that way, it should take you a month to do something
Okay.
like this. Because, and that's
Okay.
why I say is like when you try to do it all in one day, that's when you're like, dude, this is just stressing me. I don't know how to do. It's just big picture first, and then we start fine tuning it, fine tuning it, fine tuning it. I mean, the why. Sometimes the why takes me a month in itself because I go, well, yeah, I want to go travel, but like I don't want to travel with my kids out of the country because I'm afraid that they'll get stolen because they're all blonde hair and blue eyes. So that it can't be to travel, Cory. That can't be it. So maybe it's adventures, and that's been more important. Of like, hey, so now we go on one mini adventure every single month, something they've never done before, and it could be something as stupid as going on a train ride, but they've never been on a train ride. So that was a cool experience. They went on the first train ride. This the thing we're going to go to basically a monument that they've never been to. So yeah, perfect. But I just looked at the time. I do have to go, but we will follow this up and I'll definitely put it on the books. On Tuesday we talk with the coaches. I'm going to say, look, goal setting's on everyone's mind, and I think we need to make a whole month of goal setting
I think it'd
because
be
I
good.
think it's that important.
Yep.
All right,
Cool.
thank you,
Thanks. Have a good one.
bye.
See y'all.